This is the Two Scrappy Chicks podcast where life is messy, the stories are real, and we dare to talk about it anyway.
Hey, thanks for sticking with me with the Married at First Sight this season. This is episode 19 in the finale. Okay, so we're all wondering, what did Felipe tell her off camera? And oh my God, it was so funny. The things that I was reading, people were saying, of course. Ooh, yeah, it's about that time for me to yawn. But of course, people were saying he cheated. And then somebody said he wanted a throuple or threesome, or somebody else said, oh, he's bisexual. So here we're all waiting. And then we find out since day one that he's been married to her, he had the urge to cheat on her, but he says he didn't. But who knows with Felipe? And it was like an obsession that he thought constantly about it. And then he said he wants to go into politics. And I guess that was a joke because he said, well, the president was in a reality show and now he's the president. So I guess that was a joke with politics. And, he says he really likes her. And she's just like, she goes, "Ah, I cannot," and says, even on a freaking dating show, I attract an F boy. They always find me. And then Felipe says, if we stay together, they're going to need therapy, especially him. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, if you didn't learn anything from this experience or learn your lesson, then I don't know what to tell you, Felipe. So, he did bring her flowers. And if it was me, I would have threw them back at him, or throw it out when she drove away, throw it out the window. And Tori said that I think that us parting ways is the best. So I want a divorce. Felipe wants to be friends, and she's like, no, let it be. And then he was saying his parents will be so disappointed. And I'm just like, well, yeah, you screwed up again, Felipe. You're just a screw up. And he claimed he didn't just have, the thoughts that he wanted to see if he could commit and be a husband. Well, and he couldn't. So he said he was taking a break from dating. So then we see Belle and Mecca. The experts think that they were the best match. And they meet up. I think it was like on a pier. And they talked back and forth. And then Belle was like, they both decided to stay married, which I was like surprised. And Belle said, I want to see what's on the other side. And then she said, Mecca, if you play me, I'm gonna sick them on you, my brothers. And and then the expert Paul. So I thought that was thought, oh, there's hope, right? Right till the reunion. And then Nikki and Sean, yeah. Things didn't end so well last episode between those two when she was leaving. And Sean, um, he sees her, um, as a ticking time bomb and a hurt person going to combat. And he also said, he didn't meet her people. And I said something about her intelligence. It's like, what the heck is with calling people out and saying something about the intelligence? Because he did that to Adam too. And they were, I didn't like get everything verbatim. I mean, it would be good instead of just listening to me of what happened, unless you don't have Peacock. But it was like the typical banter they've had all season, going back and forth. And like I said, when she left, um, then I believe, yeah, the night before, things weren't, going well. And they were very like a roller coaster, very up and down, up and down. So essentially, Nikki said divorced, and Sean said, yeah, well, what was he gonna say, And what what did Nikki say about Sean? No emotion. Um, she didn't see it long lasting. And then Sean comes back and says she hasn't shown up for him, or uh I gotta put my readers back on. Mm. She hasn't shown up for him or have grown. And Nikki's like, this was uh afterwards by herself. Talking to the producer into the camera, she's like, WTF? He is insecure. I pray for him. Sean says, I thought I found my forever and that he gave everything. So, little tidbit I found out about Sean. So, he was a DEI person, diversity, equity, inclusion, right? Working at a school. Well, guess what? He lost his job because of how he acted and what he said on this show. So, that's interesting. All right, next on the block is Adam and Marissa. And they both talked to the experts and they felt like this was a good match. And it seems like, well, and she said Marissa seemed excited to see him. And she was saying, so she wrote it down. She was saying what she, liked about him, his sense of humor, his eyes, the way he looked at her, the comfort, the confidence. And then he had a little card he wrote. And, as he was saying this, he was tearing up, crying. He's like absolute vibe, beautiful, amazing person, loving, supportive, and vibe again. And it's like, what the heck? Well, and then his concerns were the intensity, his pickleball, his working out, his jet ski, his activeness. Um, and for her, his intensity was like a red flag for her. And she said that he stopped seeing her for who she is and that she um uh, either her or him pulled back and never came back. And she feels like he's holding back emotions and he's a all in or nothing. And he's like, well, that's what works for him. And she's like, And she said, they have so much in common, but the 180 happened because of a bad day. And that was when they went to go play pickleball with Courtney and Nick. And she was miserable and lonely. And she realized he isn't the type to compromise and that she knew it wouldn't work. And he said sorry. He hurt her and that he's been leaning towards no. And she said no too. But he gifted her an ice cream maker. Okay, what the heck was that about? A parting gift? Okay, Michelle and Cameron. And she says she wants to be his ride or die. And Cameron says, you have a beautiful spirit. And, you know, how comfortable he made him feel. And he apologized for making her feel like when he had a bad day, like questioning, was it her? So he apologized. And she told him she fell in love with him when they moved in together. And I thought that was sweet. They are a very sweet couple. And she said that I'm proud to love you and proud to tell everyone that I love you. And he said he loves the way she supports him and he laughs. Oh, yeah. And he laughs and cries. And he says, yes, I love you too. Oh, it had me in tears. And then he picks her up. It was cute. And she's a little thing and he's tall. So, um, showed. Oh, why can't I read that? All right. Don't know what that sentence is after. Okay. Tori, she knows her worth and oh, hold on. Why is this not making sense? Yeah, that's not the reunion. So, oh, I guess this was at the end. Tori said she knows her worth. Nikki says I gave it every ounce I could. Mester. Sean, I'm ready and hope to find my person. Mecca doesn't want to hang out. That don't make sense. Who the heck was A? A wants to be friends. I have no clue what that means. But then Belle and Mecca, peace and perfection. So then that ended. Episode 19. So then the reunion. Um, we start with Cameron and Michelle, and they're still married. And after the show, Michelle got laid off, so she moved to Oregon. But he took a coaching job, so they'll be moving to the Bay Area in California. Michelle does have a job now. And then he also proposed to her, and her friend got a video of it and they showed it. That was so cute. And it was sweet because, since they did everything reverse, he wanted that opportunity. So yeah, she was so surprised. It was cute. And Belle and Mecca, and they're asked, you still together? And Belle's like, nope. And she broke up with him. She said it was 3 weeks later so that she realized she didn't put herself first. And then the comments of the dream girl just didn't sit well with her. And then they went to a party and Mecca was flirting with other women. So Mecca also called Belle Brie, which is his ex. And Belle, she said she wouldn't, oh, when they were talking, she did not even look at Mecca. She just looked straight forward out in the audience or turned to the experts. She never turned and looked at Mecca. And what is this? Um, and then why would you say that? Not attracted, at first. She's like, I'm not angry. I'm just standing up for myself because I was standing up for you and you should say, sorry. And she said she wanted to see more accountability. And Mega asked, anyone else want to say how the S word, of a person I was on the show? And Mecca says, yes, I was disrespectful and I failed you. I'm grateful for the grace that I didn't deserve. So that's the end of Mecca and Jolie, Belle Jolie. Okay, Felipe and Tori. Um, Tori said the cheating comment was too much. He was too much of a coward to say anything. Like, it seems like in the beginning he realized he couldn't handle it, and Tori feels like her time was wasted. And Tori said she wished she would have stood up for herself sooner and that Felipe shouldn't have been on the show and that he did it for clout, for pol- political. And he said that was a joke about the politics. And he said he was frustrated in the beginning. And then at the end, it felt like work and that he couldn't feel like himself. Well, yeah, the cheater, because he liked to bang everybody. Then they have Felipe's mom in the audience and they ask her, and she said she was sad and pissed about what he said. And she looks at Tori and she's like, I love you, Tori. And, Tori was sad because she said his family was actually decent, which they were. So it's like, okay, where did, why didn't Felipe get this same, kind of compassion and stuff? And Paul says to Felipe, do you realize the ripple effect that you caused and, who you upset? And Tori said that he was enjoying being across, I'm sorry, a cosplay playboy. Okay, so then we're done talking to them. And I'm going to pause it there. 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So then we go to Adam, and he said that, oh, he was in a sling, so they were asking him what happened, and he said he was crushing it. And he did it while snow skiing. and had surgery. So he was still healing from it. And then apparently he texted Marissa that he missed her. And they did go out, just friendly, just as friends. And he wanted to do more. And she said, absolutely not. So then they go to a Halloween party. And there apparently a girl sent him a DMs, and apparently I guess they were going to be at the same party. I don't know, something like that. And they pretty much say, we can never speak again after um which he wanted to be friends, but she didn't, and he apologized. But she said when she did see him again, he had a hickey on his neck, and he claimed he didn't. And then Adam, okay, so that somebody slipped into his DMs after the show, and he answered, and I think it was she was going to be like they were going to the same party, I guess. Okay. Um, so he said at one point he was a yes, but um, you know, his all in just I guess was a deal breaker for him, but he wanted to be friends. And he claims he didn't know he had a hickey. So then Felipe says, um, what did Felipe? Felipe says something. Oh, he said Adam didn't tell him any of this, like the hickey. And then Marissa says, did he also tell you he DM'd Tori on Hinge? And he claimed it was only a hi, it wasn't flirty, it was friendly, that was it. And then they asked Tori, was that true? Did he DM her? And she said, yeah, but I deleted it. She didn't respond. So then Belle says to Caitlin how it was inappropriate for her talking to Mecca outside. Like she compared it to can we have a chat on Love Island? And Marissa is single because this Belle thing just popped in here. So the expert asked everybody who's broken up if they're single or not. So Marissa's single, and she said she started two businesses and that she was going to work on that. Adam is dating for the last 3 months. Her name is Lizzie. He met her in Amsterdam. So she's not German, she's American. And then they went to Mexico and she's staying with him. And I don't know if maybe that was one of the words. I, I didn't think, but I remember Marissa talking about his place being too fratty and that something about the shower and the tarp and stuff. So she said, there's no way she would ever live there. But anyway, back to Adam and his girlfriend. And supposedly now she's staying with him. And she watched a few of the episodes and insulted the show. And the experts were kind of like thrown off guard with like, wait a second, that's not fair. That is not how this works and that. So they kind of shut her down. And honestly, when um, I guess supposedly she is active, but honestly, I mean, I know looks aren't everything, but I'm like, wow. I'm like, Marissa's gorgeous. This girl's just very plain, but hey, I hope that she can handle Adam's intensity. Oh, and Adam was wearing a goofy hat and goofy clothes, as always, because he's got to, you know, stand out. Okay, now we're on to Courtney. And she said she realizes she's an alpha and comes across as not being nice, and that Nick um, was trying very hard to make it work. And then they asked her about her saying about Adam being hot, the hottest one there comment. And Adam goes, "That's disrespectful." And then said she sucked at pickleball. And if he was matched with her, he would only have lasted a week and would have been done. And then jokingly, Nick said that he would be on Married at First Sight season 21. And they everybody laughed, but he said that he did date after the experience and that it didn't go well, so then he went into therapy and now he's dating and things are better. And then they asked Courtney, are you dating? And she said, yes, his name is Alex. He's out in the audience. And he didn't talk, he just waved. And I guess they met at pickleball. So that was interesting. Then we get to Devin and Caitlin. And I guess being filmed was like too much for her. And I guess she did a 180, like the fighting would start and stuff. And they just, yeah, like maybe Caitlin's dad should have, interrupted and says these two should not be married. So Caitlin, um, I guess Devin said, I could have tried to, initiate more, but he was like waiting on her. And like maybe she just wasn't feeling it, you know? Like she was conflicted. Like she would feel it and then she wouldn't. And so, I mean, it is what it is. And Caitlin, they asked if she's dating, and she said yes. She's like, I am so in love with him. He's at his best friend's wedding, so he couldn't be here. And then I looked on her Instagram, and it showed a picture of her hugging him. I'm so glad you're home, but I don't think she's going to post him and like protect who he is. And then Devin, he is not dating, but his hair is darker, and he did some modeling I seen recently. Okay, Nikki and Sean, this was fun. And uh the expert Paul said that his wife's group chat was blowing up for weeks, having to do with Nikki and Sean. And then um Paul says to Nikki, at the wedding, you're standing in front there and you're like, where's my husband? What was that all about? And she goes, well, she asked for a female officiant and thought maybe he asked for a male officiant. So she thought Sean was the officiant and not her husband. So yeah, she was kind of stunned. That was her husband. And she admitted she was not attracted to him. He's not typically her type. And she asked for a partner with integrity, kindness, and compassion, and says to Sean, not your strengths, Sean. And the expert says they noticed that they never, blended their friends and their family. And Sean claims he did it more, with the phone, having Nikki included in on it. But yet he didn't get that same respect with Nikki's family, like her mom. Nikki's mom was in the audience, and they asked her, "What did you think?" And she said, you know, I wanted him to protect her, respect her, and didn't see that. He didn't show up for her. And Sean says, sorry you felt that way. And then Adam whispers to Nikki, because they're sitting next to each other, I'm, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's disgusting. So then Nikki said to Sean, that was a bunch of BS. And that was a itty apology that he did to her, to her mom. And, you know, for her not to include her family and um and admonish her because he didn't she wait, because I didn't let her in. That's not making sense. But anyway, Nikki goes on to say he was a shitty person in this marriage and that he owes her a better apology and that she sees no growth in him. And I guess he started speaking towards her mom again, and she goes, leave my mom out of this. And she was getting frustrated. She's like, experts, can you please jump in the conversation? So they did, and they kind of put it to rest uh, because, it was getting heated. And then Mecca says, when Sean said the needs thing, I have needs. Him and the rest of the boys were just like, "Oh my God, Sean, what are you saying?" Mecca also says Sean doesn't take accountability. He gives excuses. And then at the end, the expert says, "Do you have anything to say, Nikki?" And she says, "I don't have anything nice to say." And Sean, um, I have no, I think he just talked about, what he learned from the experience and this and that and what he hopes to get to moving on, whatever, Sean. Nikki is single. Sean claims he's getting DM'd by a 6'1" Lisa Leslie lookalike. And Nikki shakes her head and says deluge, which is short for delusional. Okay, then we go back to Michelle and Cameron. And they ask him, why do you think it worked out for you? And he says his express insecurities, having her support, being comfortable, and and in love. And then Michelle said the therapy sessions with them was very encouraging and it built a strong environment for them. So then excuse me, she talks about her fertility issues with the fibroids and that she unfortunately had to get a hysterectomy back in May. So, oh, that was so sad. But they were looking at adoption and surrogacy. And I thought, oh, that's great because not Adam, I'm sorry, Cameron's sister is adopted. So, so yeah, but that's got to be hard being so young and having to do that. But that was like her only solution. So it ends there. They thank everybody for, participating in that. And then they announce that they're going to start a podcast. So now I'm going to have to check this out because they're going to have people from, hold on, excuse me, from season 20 as guest. And it's going to be called Love in Session. And then they said, see you next time for Married at First Sight, season 21 in Charlotte, North Carolina. So, yeah, that wraps that up. As far as what else I'm going to do, I guess Alex Earl has a show coming out next month, which is right around the corner. September is actually next week. So I think I'm going to add that one. Let's see. Let me look on my schedule here. So Big Brother will be on Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday. Hopefully you don't hear my shredder here. And then Girls Trip, there's, I think they said 9 episodes, and we've seen 3, I think. And, excuse me, and also on Sunday is the Suburban Lives, or the Secrets of the Suburban Wives. Secrets of the Suburban Wives. Or, you know what I'm saying. I'm just getting too slap happy tired here. Um, Monday is the finale for Dancing with the Stars Pro, and then Dancing with the Stars will start. And I don't think it will be on Monday because football will be starting. It's probably going to be on Tuesday. I will have to verify that. This Tuesday will be the Real Housewives of London reunion. So then that one will be ending. And then Wednesday, like I said, Big Brother, the Harry finale. I can't talk. Harry finale just aired. I did the recap. And then Salt Lake City Housewives will start on the 16th of September. I still need to finish Stassi. And I got to turn my page over. Stassi and age inappropriate on Roku. So I need to do those two. I don't know the age inappropriate. I don't know if the whole season's out. Oh, but Thursday we're still on the OC, the Housewives. Of course, Big Brother. And then no more Married at First Sight since the finale just aired. So, if there's any reality shows that are coming out that I'm missing, let me know. So, all right. Well, that is it. And thanks for coming along the ride with Married at First Sight. And that was a crazy season. So, looking forward to Charlotte. All right, till next time. Bye. We really appreciate you hanging out with the two scrappy chicks today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, download, and share it with a friend. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, just let us know.